Hello and welcome. This is Kristen with the Online Selling Show, and I'm going to do a multi-part series on what the differences are between eBay and Amazon. I have been an e-commerce seller for 22 years. I have been primarily in the wholesale business model for the last 15. Since 2017, I have been solely our family's income being in this e-commerce world. And you may say, okay, what's all this have to do with anything? I'm looking to just sell goods now that I'm buying through either estate sales or thrift stores or yard sales. And there's probably times where you would question, and it's, can I put this on Amazon? Would it be better priced if I could sell it over there? Would I get more money? Would it sell faster? That type of thing. So I'm opening this series up for those people who are on the fence, that maybe you have been selling on eBay, or you've heard a little bit about what's going on with Amazon, and maybe you want to get into that, and maybe you're trying to decide where you want to sell your goods. And I'm hoping that these series will give you some behind the scenes looks of what really the expectations are between the two, and where they're similar and where they're different, and you can make that decision yourself where you feel that your product and what you're bringing in and what you want to resell would be best placed at. So the first thing I think you really have to look at is what is the buyer and who are the buyers on these platforms, because they are very, very distinctly different types of buyers, and the expectations that they have and the way that you're able to make a sale to them is very, very different in both of these. So eBay was around from when I got started. Amazon came in much later, not much later, but they came in maybe 2005, 2006. I'm very familiar with the FBA model, fulfillment by Amazon, if you're not sure what that means. Basically, in a nutshell, when you are a retailer like myself, you pack boxes with big multiple amounts of items in it. You send it to the Amazon warehouse so that when that item sells off the platform, then Amazon staff packs the boxes and ships it on your behalf to the end buyer. There's a lot of costs in there. There's a lot of different considerations into there, and I'm not even going to touch on the FBA business model. That is a conversation for somebody else. I personally have opted out of it many years ago, and I know I would have to relook at everything before I even try to give a conversation about that. So there's other YouTube channels that are probably more up to date on their information for that. I am talking about what is known as the fulfillment by merchant business model, because to me that means all of my goods are in my own warehouse and I am in control of shipping them out, whether it goes to an eBay client or an Amazon client. So in my particular business model, I'm in possession of the goods. I'm out there trying to make the sale to the end consumer. Now, what becomes in this first part is understanding with what communication, how you're selling the product to this end buyer. And the problem becomes in used goods. First of all, on Amazon, there's a lot of categories that won't even allow you to sell used goods. Some people tried to get around that by putting it in as collectible, I'm going to say game or toys are a very good place where they've done that. Media was the foundation of where Amazon got started. So when any conversation comes up, media tends to have its own little bubble of sorts in the Amazon marketplace, and it's a different entity in this world. That is the one place where resellers have a very good footing for where they can offer used goods, and Amazon will give you that space to be able to put in something as used. They'll give you a grading system to use as to the condition of how your used good is. In the example of clothing, there is not a used category for clothing. You can't put in that you have a blender per se and it's missing pieces or parts. Because in the Amazon world, they have what's known as a catalog page. It is one page that anybody and everybody looking to sell that particular model of a blender per se, they're supposed to put all of their listings on there. And basically, if the page says that this blender has all of this criteria, you have to have all of that. So in my example, if you have a blender and it's missing, let's say, the seal and it needs a new seal, you can't put it on there, because the buyer's expectation in getting that is they're getting everything and it's working. And like I said, most of these categories won't even let you put something used in there. The expectation is it is new, really. So they have like the new without a box and some of that, but I mean, that's typically what it is. It's new, but just happens to not have the exterior packaging for it. So don't think you're going to work your way around that, because honestly, it's just going to become a problem for you in the back end, where let's say you found a pair of shoes and you think that like nobody really wore them, maybe, but around the house, and you look at them and the buyer may get them and say, you know what, these are stretched out. So you really have to be conscientious that it has to be in that specific brand new condition with that specific brand model. They are very sensitive to wanting UPCs on products. I wouldn't even recommend. I have been creating my own Amazon listings. I took tests back in the day just to get approved in a catalog of clothing for them. So I'm very, very familiar with creating catalog pages, and I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be working around, and it's not even going to be worth your time to, let's just say, create that catalog page to put that blender on that's missing the in my example of missing this seal, needing a new seal. It's not even worth it to try to create a secondary page. And truthfully, it's against their terms of service that you're going to try to list something that is just the same, but not. It's not. It's got to be a wholly different reason why it's different. Meaning, like, you know, maybe it was a book, but at Walmart, it was a book that they added an ornament to or something like that. That is a wholly different product than it was created to be sold other ways. And it should have its own UPC when it's offered at the Walmart site or stores with that ornament being in there. So they're very they really want the requirement of a UPC. They don't want you to try to work all these workarounds. They want you using the one catalog page. And then honestly, there's no way for you to really make a mention. Like, maybe you're trying to sell those shoes and you're saying that they're new without tags, but you want to say that they were having a scratch or something like that. They don't allow you to really communicate that. That's where eBay strength has come in, truthfully. eBay buyers, they understand and they know that if they're looking for a blender and they bring it up, there could be 50 people with that. They kind of, I mean, we all hope they read the descriptions, but they're kind of more conscientious to read and understand what's being offered, that they're not all apples to apples. The other thing that comes in is maybe you decide that you want to part out that blender now. There's really no place in Amazon for that to be, because they're looking at, they want these UPCs, and the realistic piece comes down to, are you really going to keep having that blender over and over and over again to go through all the hoops? Because it's going to take a bit to create those catalog pages. On eBay, buyers are looking for pieces and parts to fix something or add to a collection, or, you know, replace something that wore out or whatever it may be. So they're looking, they'll know that they could get the blender, all the pieces to the blender. Maybe I should say, you know, a good example is vacuum cleaners. People constantly are looking for parts and pieces to vacuum cleaners. So the buyer on eBay is a little bit more trained to read the descriptions. eBay ask for the UPCs, but you can honestly say it does not apply, and they're not going to kick back out that listing and not allow you to put it up. You know, they may want it, because it's going to enhance your being able to like search ability for it. But for the most part, they're not going to kick that out for you. So another thing in that is like, you know, what kind of pictures, you know, in the Amazon marketplace, once that listing's up, you really can't change what it is. So if you wanted a better angle of a picture, but the picture isn't up there, you may or may be able to not add another picture to it. But on eBay, you can control your listing. You can go in and add, I think it's like 24 pictures. You could put a video up of something. They make it very simple for that. And truthfully, I think the buyers react to that more. I think on the Amazon marketplace, if there's additional pictures, they're happy to see them. But I think on eBay, the more that you can give a buyer, I think the more they respond to it, truthfully, over there, because they understand that they have to evaluate different people's listings. And the buyer expectation on Amazon is, I don't think a lot of them buyers know that they're not buying from Amazon. They don't understand that they're buying from somebody like me that's, you know, a mom and pop store as what's known as a third-party seller. They just, everything on the Amazon marketplace is like, they kind of expect it all like it's this big Amazon corporation. On eBay, the buyers kind of look at it and know that they're getting little businesses and hobbyists and stuff. There's more of a camaraderie over there. Just the level of emails that come in are more personable and more trying to be conversationalist than the Amazon people. So that's part of like where I'm going to just say in the buyer's perceptions of what they're buying, how they're buying it, who they're buying from is totally different on both of these sites. And one is more, Amazon is definitely geared for the new and, you know, not being compromised type of stuff. The eBay stuff is the desirable of a replacement, a collectible, stuff that's been vintage type of product. So that's it for part one. I appreciate your time and watching. I really hope you are enjoying this series and you will continue to keep watching because there are a lot more other components that I'd like to get into to discuss the differences between these two marketplaces. So for now, I'm going to say bye and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.